The Bengals, yes, the Bengals have been active ahead of Tuesday's trade deadline. Will they make a move? I think some recent injuries could impact things. So let's dive into all things Bengals in a trade deadline primer right now on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to CBT. I'm James Rapien of BengalsTalk.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. Today's video is brought to you by BetUS, and let's dive into this trade deadline. There's been a bunch of reporting around it, and while you guys last week made fun of me because I mentioned Azeez Ojulari, well, the Bengals have been eyeing Azeez Ojulari, according to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, and I think that's what's interesting here is there's been multiple national outlets, whether it's Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, Diana Rossini of The Athletic, reporting that the Bengals kicking the tires on different players, making calls, aggressively pursuing players ahead of the trade deadline. That makes sense. They should. They should be buyers. They're 4-5. They beat the Raiders 41-24. Absolutely should be buyers. I don't care what anyone says in the comments about it. You should buy right now if you're the Bengals. You're also on a short week. As I record this, it's not even 8 a.m. on Monday morning following their win over the Raiders. Be on the phones now. Get a deal done now. Get the player in on Monday for a physical so whoever it is can be ready to go on Thursday night. That would be my mindset. And unfortunately, injuries could impact things because naturally you'd say, all right, well, they could use another cornerback. So maybe they go that route. Maybe they kick the tires on Jonathan Jones from the Patriots, who they still could, veteran in his last year, two-time Super Bowl champion, someone that you could get for a late round pick. Okay, makes sense. Maybe you go after Azeez Ojulari, represented by former Bengal John Thornton, someone in his last year has 6 sacks on the year, at least coming into this week. I didn't see what he did on Sunday, but 2 sacks against you, productive 24-year-old, makes a ton of sense. He can bolster your pass rush. Who knows? In his final year, maybe you sign him and he's a long-term piece. Makes a ton of sense. But now you're talking about Eric All, probably out for the season. They're waiting for confirmation, but out for the season with a torn ACL. Zach Moss, I think he's out for the season, certainly out for a significant amount of time with a neck injury. And so running back is a need. Tight end could certainly be a need. And if tight end isn't the need because they have bodies, well, they don't have anyone that's like Eric All that can block like Drew Sample, but run routes like insert Mike Gesicki or Tanner Hudson. These guys are just different, right? And so their offense is going to have to change and they can make a tweak or they're going to have to make a tweak or two. So I think that's what's different about now versus 48 hours ago is or 72 hours ago. Zach Moss's injury crept up on them late in the week last week. Not sure exactly on the details. I do know that they expect him to miss significant time. You combine that with now losing a guy in Eric All who you've been banking on, and tight end and running back are certainly in discussion. Jeremy Fowler mentioned that they are kicking the tires on running backs across the league. I think that one's interesting. I'll name some names coming up for you in just a second. I also think that tight end is something you at least kick the tires on, but maybe you go back to your old ways of 1 running back, 3 receivers, like you did in the Tyler Boyd era, and maybe you look at wide receiver and you go that route instead because it's going to be hard to find a tight end like Eric All. They're just hard to find. Guys that can run routes at a high level, catch passes. He had 20 catches this year, had 2 catches on Sunday before leaving in the second quarter with an injury, but can also block and be as versatile as he was. It's just tough to find. So I'm going to get into specific players that they could target at the deadline coming up next. Today's video is brought to you by BetUS. Get in on the action today. The Bengals are 6.5-point underdogs. It's an early line for Thursday night's matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. Well, right now, you can use code YouTube150 with BetUS and get a 150% bonus on your first deposit. Boom, just like that. And then you get a bonus on your second deposit and your third deposit, a 125% bonus. All you have to do is go to betus.com, use code YouTube150. They have game props. They have same game parlays. They have player props. You can get in on all the action. And the NBA season is in full swing too. College hoops. That's why I'm wearing my Bearcats hat, baby. College hoops is back. Get in on all the action, all of the sports action. by going to betus.com using code YouTube150 today. All right, let's get into some guys the Bengals could trade for. And I've mentioned in a previous video, I'm just going to fly through them just in case you missed that video. Azeez Ojulari, he would be not my number one target from a pass rush standpoint. Calais Campbell, another one that would make a ton of sense, especially with the BJ Hill injury, and we don't really know how long he could be out. Jonathan Jones makes sense if they're eyeing a corner, and reportedly, according to Diana Rossini, they are. Baron Browning from Denver makes a lot of sense as someone who hasn't really produced this year, but has been a good player in the past, has gotten pressure. Maybe you can get him for a late round pick. Harold Landry, Jeffrey Simmons. I don't think either one's available. I think their contracts make it tough. Guys I would mention. All right. Outside of those guys, when I think of running back, here are some names that came up. Khalil Herbert from the Bears. Jeff Wilson Jr. from the Dolphins. Miles Sanders from the Panthers. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who plays on Monday night. We'll see if he's active or not. From the Chiefs. He could be plug and play, knows multiple Bengals very, very, very well. Obviously, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, chief among them. Izzy Abanikanda, the running back from the Jets, who's in his second year. Some guys that stand out. Tight end wise, it's tough. David Njoku, reportedly on the block. Well, are the Browns trading him in division? Probably not. Are the Bengals willing to give up what it takes to get a David Njoku? That seems really, really far-fetched, right? So I think that's unlikely. The Rams keep winning, so they have some good tight ends over there, but I'm not sure they'd be willing to make a deal. And so tight end is tough, but to me, running back is one. Running back and pass rusher. There are enough veteran guys that make sense where they could address it. Or they view it and they say, all right, we can't address tight end because there's just not the guy we're looking for. But Adam Thielen is available, and he's a reliable wide receiver 3. And I think that it's a very real thing now. Like, who is their wide receiver 3? Right? I mean, we have the Jermaine Burton stuff, and for those wondering, I reported it, the entire report, BengalsTalk.com. Elise and I talked about it after the game, but he completely no call, no shows a Saturday walkthrough, inactive on Sunday. You can't rely on him. You can't bank on him. You haven't gotten the production you hope to get out of Andre Osavash. And so where are you going? It's not Trent Irwin as your wide receiver 3. It's not Kendrick Pryor, who you elevated from the practice squad. And you just lost Eric All, who's a big part of your run game and pass game. So it can be Mike Gesicki to an extent. But maybe Adam Thielen, who is available, who does want to go to a contender based on multiple reports. Maybe the Panthers are willing to eat some money on that contract, and Adam Thielen's just available. Go get Adam Thielen, or you go get a Miles Sanders, or go try to take advantage of these teams that are sellers. Maybe the Saints are selling a Chase Young from a pass rush standpoint. Maybe you can get multiple. Maybe it's a Jadeveon Clowney combined with an Adam Thielen, or an Adam Thielen combined with a Miles Sanders, or a Clowney and Sanders. I'm just throwing out ideas here. Maybe the Panthers are willing to make former first rounder J.C. Horn available, a top corner who could be much like Azeez Ojulari, a long-term piece, a long-term fit. And he's been a really good corner in this league. All options. And so I think that's what's interesting is you got to look at these non-contenders, right? The Panthers make a lot of sense as a target. The Saints make a lot of sense as a target. The Patriots make a lot of sense, and find guys that could be on the move. The other one, I mentioned Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's just so interesting because Isaiah Pacheco's coming back. They have Samaje Perine. They have a bunch of guys like that that they, I think, believe in. And they signed Kareem Hunt, the Chiefs did. So it's like, is Clyde just going to be the odd man out? Who knows? What I do know is the Bengals are making calls. And who knows? Maybe they get a deal done. Maybe they get multiple deals done. They should. This is how I'm going to end this video. Is they should be aggressive, and doing videos like this is important because this should be our expectation for a Joe Burrow led team, even at 4-5, even with obvious flaws, even with the, well, are they good enough to? Yes. The answer is yes. Joe Burrow started 15 for 15 on Sunday. He was 22 of 27 at one point. He's playing as well as any quarterback in the NFL. He was without multiple pieces on offense that really make life tough. His starting left tackle was out. His second receiver was out. His by far best pass blocking running back was out. His most versatile tight end was out after midway through the second quarter. Didn't matter. Tied a career high 5 touchdowns, played at a high level. They need help because they have obvious flaws. They have to beat teams like the Ravens if they're going to make the postseason. We'll see if they do that. We'll see if they make a move Tuesday at 4 p.m., hopefully ahead of that, because Tuesday at 4 p.m., that's 48 hours before game time. So hopefully we hear something today, Monday, about a trade. We're going to have you covered here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk all week long. It's a weird week. It's a wacky week with the Thursday night game. We're not going anywhere. Please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. And this video, as always, brought to you by BetUS. And for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. We will be back with you anytime there's a move, or maybe if we get some injury news or anything like that today. Until then, for Andrew, I'm James. Thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.